Anyway, let's go over the tire pressure monitoring. We're kind of short on time, so this is going to be the high-speed version of it. I will be up at the trade show booth till 3 o'clock, and then I've got a flight to catch. But if you've got questions, feel free to ask them. The goal is to get you more educated, see where you can turn this into a profit center for your stores and stuff like that. But if we could jump ahead 2 slides, Tim. All right. Actually 3, we can go through all the overview. Tire pressure monitoring came about after all the problems that we had with the Ford Explorers and the Firestone tires. The one part that never really got mentioned was the tires left the factory at an approved air pressure, the minimum approved air pressure for those tires. And then our customers, they always are good about once a month checking their tire pressure, right? Just like they check their oil. Yeah, they don't know how to check anything. So they neglected it, run them low, blowouts, some tire design, some vehicle design, and part of it was owner neglect that never got mentioned. So the government stepped in and came out with the Tread Act, and they started enforcing it. They started implementing it in 2005 for the 2006 model year. And by 2008, 100% of the vehicles under 10,000 GVW have tire pressure monitoring on them. Next one. 2 different ways they originally planned to do it was either a direct system with the sensors that you're used to dealing with, or your technicians breaking the sensors off when they're changing tires, or the indirect method. The indirect method got phased out real quick. It was based on the wheel speed sensors for 4-wheel anti-lock brake. One tire goes low, it's going to shrink, so it's going to spin faster compared to the other, so that's got to be the low tire. Unless you have somebody that say they're in the Navy and they go out on a 6-month deployment, their vehicle sits and the air pressure goes down equally on all 4 tires at the same time. Now they're all virtually flat but spinning at the same speed. The customer doesn't know he's got a flat tire or 4 flat ones, so they phased that one out. Didn't take the government too long to do that, which is a rarity. I shouldn't say stuff like that. Anyway, and then the mounted ones on the wheel themselves, either through the valve stem or on a band on some of them. Essentially what they do on the direct system is they, when the vehicle starts moving and they all wake up at different speeds and stuff, it actually transmits a radio signal to the module on the car. It knows what the tire pressure is. And if they've been learned to the proper corners, it knows which tire's low. Now, part of when you start doing tire work and you do tire rotations and things like that, they need to be relearned back to the right corner where the tire's been placed. The reason I say that is some of them, usually your higher end cars, will actually have a display of the vehicle and it'll tell you which corner's low. Well, if you move the left front tire to the right rear, it's still going to think that is still in the left front if it hasn't been relearned. So the customer gets a warning that their left front tire is low. They pull over, check it, nothing wrong with it. Must be a defect. They keep driving. Right rear's flat and blows out because it didn't indicate it because it hadn't been relearned. All right? Or it'll just have a light come on the dash. They bring it in and say, hey, I've got this warning light on the dash. You put your scan tool on, you get a code for, again, the left front sensor. Check the tire pressure, perfect. Must be a defective sensor. Put a new sensor in, learn it to the vehicle. Still got a light on because it's a different corner. All right, so it's real important to relearn these things on it. All right, some of the impact that it has on you, for tools and knowledge, tire rotation, alignments, all that sort of stuff with it. And then the shop's needing it, basically what you guys do, you're going to need to be able to handle this. Anybody know what the average battery life is on one of these sensors?
That was like 6 to 8 years.
Depending. Mm-hmm. The number I've heard is 5 to 7 years. Keep in mind, 2008, 100% of the vehicles. Okay? The more the vehicle is driven, the faster that battery is going to wear down. It doesn't matter whether it's highway driving all the time or like a taxi cab or police vehicle driving around town, it's still going to have the batteries activated. They're going to wear down quicker. Need to be changed quicker. All right? So that's where it starts coming into play. If they use fix-a-flat, there's a little tiny hole in the sensor. It'll seal it up at whatever the pressure is when it's sealed it. So you can have a flat tire, it's still going to read 28 pounds or whatever it is. Also, issues when you do the when you change the tire out, servicing the valve stems and things like that. And before I forget, on your tire machines, do you have a pile of Schrader valves? Okay, been taken out for years, and then your guys just grab one and put it back in. A little problem with that. Yeah, the TPMS uses a different metal inside the for the valve stem and for the core itself. If you take one of the older ones and put it in there, give it a little bit of time, it's going to corrode. They get the aftermarket valve stem caps that are metal, or they get one that's chrome plated. It can still act like a metal. Put those on, give it a couple months, twist it off, and it's just this yucky powder stuff. So it can actually, other shops can cause problems with it. So you want to make sure your guys aren't doing that. That's not a good revenue source to do that on purpose. Anyway, next one. Again, the exposures, turning away business. I get a lot of shops when I talk to them where they say, oh, we've got to learn a new sensor. We put the sensor in, but you got to take it to the dealer to get it learned. Anytime you send a customer away to someone else to get it learned, that you just gave them all that money that car was worth, because they've got the technology, you don't. They want it. Damaged sensors while performing basic services, liabilities of not verifying system operation. What I always recommend if you're doing anything with the tires, coming in for an alignment, tire rotation and balance, putting new tires on it, before that thing enters the bay, use whatever tire pressure reset tool you have to wake them up and check them, and check all 4 sensors before you bring it in the building. That way the customer can't say, when you call them up and say, hey, you need a new $70 sensor, it's not working. They're going to be like, oh, it was working when I brought it in. Cover yourself with it. You want to check them on there. And then stuff's always changing. The only thing consistent with this is, one, they can't use indirect, and the other is which tire gets woke up first when you're relearning. Other than that, kind of a crapshoot. Okay? It keeps changing how they're going to do it as they learn new ways of doing it. If we jump on to the next one. Okay. OTC has several different tools. I believe this is the one you guys have. Okay, like I say, there is a new update out for that. It's just come out. The TPR tool works nice. Who has the Genesis in their diagnostic stuff? Okay. All right. But you can't transmit to it. You have to manually put your serial numbers in. 3 ways of relearning the tire pressure monitoring sensors, and it works out to about 1/3 of each way. One, there's an antenna in each corner. Put it in, drive it, the sensors wake up, it learns it. The other one, you do some really weird song and dance procedure, like hold down 2 buttons on a key fob or turn the key on and off so many times, take your foot off the brake, all that stuff. Cool part is, all those dance steps have been embedded in the tool since 2009, so it'll tell you how to do it, all your torque specs, everything like that. The other 1/3, typically your Asian vehicles are going to do it through the data cable. They've got to actually see the serial numbers. This is a Bluetooth dongle that bolts onto the top of the Genesis, and then the TPR, they'll transmit. So when you wake up each sensor, and it tells you right on the tool to wake them up, it'll transmit that data to it, and then you push it down the cable into the vehicle, and it relearns it. Real quick, painless, and again, all the specs, the procedures, all that stuff. Even if you have to do something weird like let the air out of if you don't have a TPR to wake the sensor up, sometimes you can let the air out of the tires or overinflate them, and that pressure change will allow you to learn them in there also. So we give you all that data inside the tool. And then again, this is just walks you through, because we're on kind of a tight time schedule, we won't go through all the gory details, but the TPR is updated through 2011 right now. 2012 should be coming to it pretty soon. Like I said, we've got the 2012 for the 3833 tool now. And again, just more on the TPR. Real easy to use, 2 buttons, up, down, program year, make, and model on it, even if you're just going to use it to wake them up. This tool works great, even with your Solus or Modus, to push it down the cable. You can still extract the serial numbers on it. in 2009 and newer, we started adding the software, so it's real easy to add it to it. You hit all that? Now, how many of you have dealt with the Schrader Easy sensor? Right. There's a licensing option.
With the plastic you're talking about?
Yeah, with the rubber.
Well, just the sensor itself. Unfortunately, I don't have one with me. What it is it's essentially a blank sensor. And if the sensor on the vehicle has one of those cores that got somebody put the wrong valve stem in, the core's junk, but the sensor's still transmitting, you can actually copy that sensor onto the tool, take a ready sensor, clip it in the proximity holder, and push that information in, put it back on the same corner. The car doesn't even know it was changed out. Even if you've got the bands on the Fords, it doesn't care. All it's looking for is a signal transmitting. It doesn't know what it's coming out of. If the sensor's dead, you can program the year, make, and model into it, and then it'll create a serial number.
Band and put one of those in?
Yep, yeah, because it doesn't know. All it's looking for is a signal coming out. It doesn't have a camera in there. It can't see how it's doing it. So it works out real easy on it. But it can actually create a new sensor, new serial number. You learn it to the vehicle, you're all set. Next slide. Okay. Now the other thing, the ready sensor you're going to hear about in a couple minutes, all of the neat details about that one and how it's able to be used on a good chunk of the vehicles as well. Next. Okay. This is just the process for putting the VDR on the Genesis. Real complicated. I already took the one off here. There's a socket saver that's usually on top of the tool. On all the Evos, the gray generation ones don't have it, but there's a socket saver. You take that off, and then, next slide. And then you'll actually bolt the Bluetooth dongle on there and leave it on there. And then you can put your cable on from there, boot the tool up, and they'll start talking to each other if it's one that gets learned through the data cable, like an Asian vehicle, I think some Chevy trucks, things like that. If we jump ahead. Right. Real quick, easy, program year, make, and model through the TPR version of the tool. You'll see that, or the TPMS, we've got the icon on there, and that's where all that data is. But you program year, make, and model. One of these will have our blue slide on it. And then it'll come up with the Bluetooth screen here. Communicate, link up, and then it'll tell you go to the left front tire, wake it up. Once it sees that, it'll tell you go to the next one, and so forth. And I think we jump ahead 2 slides, we'll see the serial numbers. Here it automatically put the serial numbers in. You hit continue, done. Real quick, easy, painless. And again, if it's one where you do the song and dance steps, turning stuff on and off and kicking tires and slamming doors and stuff to get it to kick in. It walks you through that procedure, and then you'll hear a horn beep, lights flash on the vehicle, something like that. A couple of the tools, additional tools we have available. We've got kits available to service them. It's real critical that you don't over torque stuff. If you're changing the valve stem from the sensor, a lot of them are bolt-on. You want to torque that screw to the right spec. When you tighten the nut down on the valve stem, you don't want to over torque it. All of it's real sensitive, and there is maintenance on it. Again, you'll hear about that in a little bit. The next one. And then the torque wrench, adjustable, Nissan reset tool, tire pressure gauge, valve stem core preset so you don't over torque that. And then just a couple of the other service tools that are available for it. All right, how's that for the quick condensed version? You now know everything about TPMS.